Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Hollis Full of Love here with two esteemed guests. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. Go ahead, guys.
All right, I introduce myself first. My name is Darius Barrett. I go by @Mr. Revere on all social handles. I've been investing in real estate for about 5 years now. I've learned multiple strategies, multiple creative strategies, and I've partaken in multiple strategies. I've purchased over 15 houses within the last 4 years. And I'm here on this call to be able to give as much insight as possible with the current coronavirus that's going on right now and how it's impacting the real estate market.
Marquez Carlisle, CEO and founder of Carlisle Realty Group. I've been in real estate for about 10 years. I have about 33 units at this moment, and I'm here for the same reason, just to see how to give you guys some information on how to move forward and some different strategies on, maybe what to look for, what to dodge during this pandemic.
Right. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys' time. Let's jump right into it. So as an investor in real estate, through multiple avenues you both have traveled, what is your outlook on the real estate market, being that, the pandemic affecting everybody's public health as well as the economy as well? And, how is that going to trickle down to the real estate market?
Yeah, I'll let you go, Marcus.
I feel like with this pandemic going on, as far as the real estate market, of course, as far as health, it's definitely put a slow on things. I know for me, I do a couple flips throughout the year, but I try to majority focus on rentals. People are very hesitant to, kind of do showings or, check out a lot of property and stuff like that. I mean, even different, like on the management side, as far as maybe different forms of collective rent or people doing drop-offs and things of that nature has been a little hang up as well. So it's definitely a little curveball in the market in its own little unique way.
Absolutely. I definitely think now that we're on this government stay at home, people have to get more creative.
Right.
For me, with dealing with real estate, I actually have a property that's on the market right now. And usually we have an open house and we'll let a bunch of people come look at the house. But now we're in a predicament where no one is there. We're just letting the realtor go see the house by themselves because even the seller don't want to see the house. They don't want a group of people going to one location.
Right.
They consider that to be higher risk. So we had to be creative with getting our deals off. So for example, we either do FaceTime, we either do videos, or we let the realtor come see the house ourselves, or we take really, really good detailed pictures. And I've had some success with that. I feel that even though when there's times of economic crisis, that in this situation, if you have a good product, it will sell.
Right.
Like I feel like if you got an excellent product, people still want to buy excellent products due to low interest rates. If I can get a house for 3 to 4% interest rate in this type of market, and it's still a beautiful house, I'm gonna jump on that. So for me, it hasn't really impacted what I do on a large scale, because I put a lot of detail and effort into my flips, and I make sure they sell. So the house that I got right now on the market, I put it on the market 7 days ago, and I got 3 offers on it.
Okay. So
that's the challenge. I mean, I think there are some challenges, some other challenges of people don't want to go move out their house. I don't have any rentals right now, so I can't really speak to that. Maybe you can speak to that one, Marquez.
Right. So go ahead. Like, we understand that it's some challenges involved with, maybe even collecting rent right now and stuff like that because people aren't working. As a landlord, having tenants, do you feel any obligation to, make any adjustments or try to meet people where they are right now with that situation?
That's a big one.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a slippery slope. You have to be mindful. So that's where the type of screening, and your due diligence on and how thorough that you screen your tenants. So for me, like I go through like a thorough process. So for the most part, it really hasn't impacted me on a large scale. But for my really good residents, I feel an obligation to work with them. But then you kind of, you know, for some people, they'll definitely try to take advantage of, you know, the situation at hand, right, where you got to kind of fill it out. And of course, you got to, you know, still go by state guidelines and stuff like that. But, you know, in a way, you know, for the residents that do try to maybe take advantage of the situation by not paying or saying, oh, well, I'll pay later or whatever, they're only digging themselves a bigger hole. Right. So, you know, for the most part, though, it hasn't really affected me for the type of, you know, residents that I seek, which right, are older and majority are on fixed income. So, right. Yeah.
So with that being said, like you said, you do go through a thorough process. You have older residents, they're on fixed income, so you kind of know that the money is that their income is going to be coming regardless. Was there anything else that you did in acquiring your properties? I mean, obviously we couldn't foresee this, but how did you necessarily mitigate the risk of any unforeseen circumstance coming and people couldn't pay rent?
So it wasn't necessarily, I would say, planned when I had started off. Since I had started off about 10 years ago, you know, going to go get maybe a loan or a line of credit or, you know, different things of that nature. I really didn't have like a credit history, a big enough credit history, I guess, for them to trust me. So it allowed me to kind of switch my game plan. So every property that I own it outright. So, you know, for a situation like this is definitely, you know, a really good place to be in, because say if, you know, my residents, you know, if it did impact me, you know, in a severe way, I would at least not have to worry about, you know, foreclosure or, you know, anything like that down the line. So that's a big, you know, weight off, I feel like, anyone's shoulders that would, you know, own it outright.
Right. And then that's really smart. And then Darius, you said you had rentals, you recently sold some. Was that something about you analyzing the market and seeing, like, obviously we couldn't foresee this coming, but was you being mindful of, hey, I don't want to be leveraging debt this period of time, maybe the market's running high or running low? What was your thought process behind that all?
Absolutely. I think as a business person or anybody that has a business, you always want to understand how much debt are you leveraging and how much are you at risk. Right. You know, so to Marquez's point of view, you know, he found a creative strategy to not use a lot of debt to actually still invest in real estate, which is actually brilliant, you know, because I don't got to put a lot of upfront money into a project. Now I'm at higher risk if the project doesn't go well, if the tenant doesn't pay, if it burns down, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, it was really just about being strategic, looking at the numbers, looking at my long-term goals. For me, I was leveraging debt on my projects, but I knew that the debt that I had leveraged and that the market value of these properties was worth a lot more. So for me, I'm like, okay, if I sell now, I can make a large chunk of profit. So you see what I'm saying? So then that was one situation. Then I analyzed it again and said, okay, how much am I getting in rent on an annual basis? Let's just say I'm getting 15 to 18 grand on an annual basis in rent. I figured if I sell now, I can get 120. And then how long would it take me on an annual basis to make 120 of my rent? Right. So for me, that was 8-10 years, you know, including expenses that is going to take me to make that 120 in my rent. So for me, the strategy was, what can I do with 120 right now? You know, I'm all about taking, I'm all about taking advantage of the opportunity right now. I'm not going to wait to see what's going to happen 10 years from now, because 10 years ain't really promised. Right. So for me, it was just strategic, man. Like, and I closed on my property. I sold my properties literally February 5th. Like, so it ain't really hit all the way when it came. Right, but it was starting to be a little low. Yep. So I honestly, man, it was a fortunate decision. I had some good people around me that kind of helped me to understand the logic behind selling my properties right now. So it wasn't a decision that was based off emotion. It was a decision that was strategic, logical, and based off data. You know, the market was hot, you know, top of the market. So why not sell now? You know, yeah, it might appreciate, but look at the market now. It's in a standstill. So for me, you know, not sure where the market's gonna go after this pandemic happened, I think it was a great decision on my part.
Right. No, it definitely was. You guys, I understand both points of view for sure. And I know we talked off camera a little bit about Marquez's situation with the opportunity he had. We ain't gonna dive too deep into it. But like you said, it's a lot of uncertainty. You was being strategic in making that sale, as well as you have been, Marquez, in acquiring and then going the rental route. But with this pandemic going on, we're not really sure when things are going to get back to normal from an economic point of view and what the long-standing effects will be over the next 3 to 6 months. How are you guys going to be analyzing the market? What are some things you're going to be looking at to be able to say, okay, I feel like it's still a strong, thriving market. It's still as hot as it was maybe before this hit, or do you feel like it's going to be more of a downturn? What are going to be some of those inflection points you'll be looking for?
So for me, I like to base my strategies off of data. I like to make decisions off of data and not what I think was going to happen. So for me, I'm gonna look at the inventory, what's on the market, especially when it comes to flips. Right. I'm gonna see what the ARV is in the area. I'm gonna see if things are still selling in that area. I'm gonna see what's on the market, how long it's been on the market, and if I feel that things aren't moving in that area, that means that there is going to more than likely those prices are going to decrease to be able to get those properties on.
Right.
So, and then you got to look at the overall picture of the economy as well. The SBA ran out of money already. A lot of people don't got jobs. A lot of people, huh?
Quick.
He said quick.
Quick.
A lot of people, were depending on those small business loans to come through to provide income for people to bring in. Unemployment is skyrocketed.
Right.
We don't know what the outlook of the whole global economy is going to look like after this happens. You could potentially see a large group of layoffs coming, 3 months, 6 months down the line. Now, if that happens, housing market, so the housing market is never going to be like another 2008. I don't want that to be like, it's going to be 2008. House is going to be, you can get a house for $10,000 or $1. No,
$1 out there in Detroit.
Yeah, man. I don't think that's going to happen because there are guidelines that have been more strict now that has set that in place for that not to happen.
Right.
So I don't think it's going to get that cheap, but I definitely will think you'll see some type of deflation. I would say to always be looking to analyze deals and to buy deals if it's a good deal. Times like this, people are in distressed situations. So if I got an investor that's trying to offload 10 properties and he only want 10 for them, but he only want $10,000 for them, but it's worth 40, that could be a potential great opportunity.
Right.
Even if you only rent it out. So you got to say that, okay, if I buy this house for $10,000 right now and I rent it out for the next 12 months, I can make my $10,000 right back.
Exactly.
So you got to really think about, use data, use information, educate yourself, because I think people can really get some good deals in this type of market right now.
It's going to be some opportunity in it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I would say it's all about supply and demand. So looking at them numbers, looking at the data, but with looking at the supply and demand, I know for me, I kind of gauge it off of okay, as I'm posting different ads and different stuff for rentals, how many people are really calling,
Right.
What's that demand look like? I already know what my supply is looking like, but what's that demand looking like? And the demand for that right now is super high, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but also on the same token, I did just do some flips not too long ago, and that market's still strong as well. So it really hasn't hit, I would say, the real estate market in a really bad way at this moment. But like Darius just said, we got to take into account a lot of people are filing for unemployment. And that number is steadily increasing. So, now you're kind of dealing with a shallower pool that you can choose from as far as people that probably were looking to buy this year and maybe, might put it off for
might have cooled off
X amount of months or whatnot until they also figure out what's going to happen. So then just realizing okay, what's going on now is the wealth gap is starting to spread, right? So these are you know what I'm saying? These are the times the wealthy and people that know how to really manage their funds or got the funds to take advantage during times like these, they get, richer, they get wealthier.
Mm-hmm.
And also with that pool to, getting bigger, that means more middle class people, even upper middle class people, are sliding back where their funds have, steadily decreased.
Depleted.
They're not able to make certain payments. So, they're going to have to downsize. So I pay attention to certain things like that. Then what that kind of allows me to do is like, okay, maybe I might need to, instead of doing more maybe luxury rental units in a really good neighborhood, I might have to scale back and focus more on middle class, lower middle class to low income rentals, because it's going to be a very high demand. People are going to be able to afford it. And then, so you kind of got to just sometimes call audibles and adjust with the market as it goes. You just can't have like one set way, like this is, this is the way I'm going to take, and that's it. So you kind of got to be fluid as, the market changes and moves up and down.
So I want to challenge y'all a little bit. Darius, you spoke to looking at ARVs and looking at how long things are on the market. So is there a certain period of time when you're looking at, let's say you're looking at ARV. I want you to break down what that is. And then also, how large of an area? So is it like, are you taking samples of 10 homes in a 10-mile radius, or what's the breakdown of that? And then also, how long are you looking at stuff staying on the market? So are you saying if this sold in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, it's good? If it took 120 days, or if it took a year, it's bad. What's that? Break down like some basics in that house.
So ARV is at the repair value, but that's usually like when you're doing rehab, you say, that's my ARV at the repair value, but your ARV is going to be based off your market value. And your market value is only based off what's sold, not what's pending, not what's active.
It actually sold.
You only can base it off what's sold. So what I'll do, I'll look at a specific market. Let's say I got a house in I got this subject house in this specific area. I will go out. I would try to stay as close as possible. You really want to try to stay within a quarter mile, between a mile. But sometimes in Detroit, the max I will go out is a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will go back to see what sold in a year. So once I see what sold in a year, I'm like, okay, there's some properties that sold in a year. I'm gonna look at that property and say, how many days was it on market? If it was on market 90 days, that means that market is not right for flips. Because think about it, 90 days, like it took you probably 90 days to 60 to 90 days, depending on your crew, depending on how much work was needed. I'm gonna just say on average, probably 60 days, because you have to literally be more experienced. Strategies, processes. It take about 60 to be honest. So it took you 60 days to fix it up. Now it's gonna take you another 90 days to sell it. That's what, 5 months? So it's just so much uncertainty. And when you invest in it, especially if you're not using your own money, that money costs. That money costs every month. And if you can't service that debt payments, then you're going to lose the house, or that debt payment is going to go into your profit.
Right. What about you, Marquez? What's your timeline like in these things? And how close of an area are you looking at properties in the now?
As far as looking at properties, what I would do, as far as like people who are looking to buy. So as far as people that are looking to buy, I would kind of just gauge it. And myself, I try to focus more on fixer-uppers. And that is majority because I know I have a good team. Right. I've been doing it for so long that we're able to fire on all cylinders to the point where, a fixer-upper is really not going to take that much, depending on, of course, how bad of condition it is in. But so I'll focus more on fixer-uppers or whatnot. And right now, and kind of just use different strategies to get them at a steal. So right now, you'll see a lot of people doing, random kind of calls, automated calls, as far as checking different property owners to see like if they're looking to sell their property. I've been getting a ton of those, right?
Right.
So that's one strategy a lot of people use. You also get a lot of kind of spam mail, kind of what I call, as far as people also looking to see if you're interested in selling your property. And then also just kind of doing drive-bys. Granted, it's not the best time to do that because you're not really supposed to be out unless it's essential. But there is a ton of people that are looking to kind of unload some of the assets that they have due to this time for various reasons.
Right.
So, my biggest advice would be on that part would just be kind of like be patient and, continue to put yourself in position to take advantage of such a time like this because, you can raise worth. You get, the opportunities can be endless if you play it out right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, I think it's pretty clear right now, if you're a first-time investor or if you're interested in investing, you haven't invested yet, now is not maybe the time to jump in 2 feet, and not looking. You kind of want to spend this time of uncertainty to get some studying in, understand what's going on. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would say that's all, even in good times.
Right.
Like, even good times, bad times, okay times, anytime you want to be doing real estate, make sure you educate yourself, you understand what you're doing, and when I mean understand, I'm talking about if I can teach it to somebody, I understand.
Right.
If I can't teach it, then I don't understand it. So absolutely, man, educate yourself and take the time and fix your credit and save some money. And you'll be straight.
So
2 big, huge points. Definitely.
credit,
And if you got
fixing your credit, saving money.
Yeah, and if you got a mentor, just taking advice from people that are not, they're teaching from practice, not theory.
Right.
So just being mindful of that as well.
Somebody actually has the experience. So are there any specific resources, a specific place you want to point somebody in terms of if you want to start your studies, whether it be through a flip avenue or rental avenue or general real estate? Where would you point somebody to start?
I would say start with me because I'm offering coaching services. Now I'm about to plug myself in real quick. So on my social media pages, I got a link called Book Now. And I give an hour session and we go through strategies. We go through how to fix your finances. We go through how to manage money. Pretty much anything you want to understand about how I got my success, I'm giving it away. So book your appointment. Bigger Pockets is a website that it's a forum. So a forum is pretty much like a huge blog where a lot of people have. So if you have any question, all you can do is type it into the forum, and I promise you, a thread will come up of people that have similar issues, similar concerns, and you'll be able to gain a lot of insight versus actually going to do it and mess up. And then, read a couple books. Like I got a couple books here right now. One is a Bigger Pocket book, and it's
I think you froze a little bit there.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, how to invest in real estate with no money down. It's pretty good. It gives you the basics, and then I got another one for people that want to invest in commercial real estate. I don't think you have to start with residential. I think it's easier to start with residential, but if you understand it well enough, go jump into commercial. Another book called Crushing It. It gives basic principles, basic strategies on pretty much how to invest in real estate. And once you start to really educate yourself, you're going to start seeing that the information is kind of redundant, but people just use different ways or different methods. But in practicality, it's really the same thing.
Marquez, you got any resources?
So me, I'm a big reader. So again, Darius just gave you guys a couple of good books. I would say, of course, Rich Dad Poor Dad, everyone is kind of caught on to that. My favorite one is Retire Young, Retire Rich.
Same.
As well. Unfair Advantage, I just finished this up really not too long ago. Then, there's a ton of books I can list off. Like you just said, it kind of gets repetitive, but it helps, the message ingrained in you. Then you can kind of just, finesse it in your own particular way for your situation. And,
Yep.
I'll always say, find someone that is close to you or by you, or somebody that is maybe doing it, or doing something similar to it, and kind of just seeing what you can learn from them, And then after you feel like you've learned so much, and of course you're saving, you're putting yourself in position as you're doing all of these things. Everything's not going to be perfect, but just, I feel like, prepare yourself in the best way, then go ahead and jump in,
Right. So it sounded to me like you guys are saying when you start with that reading and you start getting that information and education, you have to then go to moving to develop some sort of strategy for yourself, right? Was there any specific route you guys took for strategy, or I know there's many strategies in terms of real estate, but when you guys was developing a strategy, what was the process you went through?
Go ahead, Marquez.
My strategy starting off was initially it was to try to get along, but again,
Right.
I wasn't set up in that type of position. It was very early on. I didn't really know what I was getting into, so that route didn't work. So I ended up getting some scholarships. I was putting my money back, and timing was impeccable. This was right around when the housing market crashed, so everything was at still,
Right.
literally still. So that was my market, and I used that time and that opportunity to buy up as much as I could, and that's definitely paid dividends. But as moving forward, I've just been able to kind of learn more and pay attention to what's going on, and just like I said, just kind of kind of be fluid with it. So maybe when certain things change, I've been able to okay, I might need to go about it like this, or So I feel like you learn a lot as you go, for the most part.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think you got a good point that might be going over people's head, Marquez, and it's in regards to, you came to a roadblock, right? That you couldn't get money, but you were able to find another avenue and still have some success with having a portfolio of 33 properties. So most people in that scenario might be like, I can't get money, I can't do this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How I'm gonna do it? But you were able to, and I think that's a great point to take away from all of this, that you were able to not get a loan and still not get a loan the conventional way and still be able to build up a portfolio of 33 properties. So, that's dope. I want to say that's dope.
Extremely impressive.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Extremely impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about, having a strategy. Is there any certain amount of money you think somebody needs to walk into a real estate? Is it, hey, don't start to do this if you ain't got $5,000 to spend, $10,000, or is it 20, 30? What, from you guys' standpoint, your opinion, obviously, like you said, it's a lot of different avenues, a lot of different strategies. Is there a certain baseline of funds you think people need to have available before getting into real estate investing?
Me personally, I started with $2,000.
Okay.
I started with $2,000, but I knew that there was other strategies. I leveraged my credit cards, but that was money that wasn't saved up. But that was money. That was other people's money. That's what we considered other people's money. I leveraged my credit cards. Now, knowing what I know now, you don't have to have a lot of money. You really need to have a great deal.
Right.
I think if you provide anybody with a great deal, that could be private investors, conventional investors, family members, you can pull a bunch of money together if the deal makes the money off a deal. So knowing what I know now, I don't think you have to have a lot of money to invest in real estate, but that goes back to the education piece. If you don't learn these strategies on how to make money, how to get investors, how to market your property to people that's looking to buy and be invested in these properties, then you're gonna always think with that conventional mindset that's like, oh, I can't do it until I have 10 grand saved up. But you don't necessarily have to have 10 grand saved up. You can leverage your credit. you can leverage somebody else's credit. It's really about being able, once you understand it well enough, you'll understand that you can like literally be so creative with deals. Like, cause you're gonna know back forward, I can joint venture, I can do a wholesale deal. I don't need to do anything with my own money. So it really goes back to the education piece for me.
Definitely. I'm not gonna add too much to that. I would say if, you know what I'm saying, if someone was just like, well, if you got to come up with a number, what number would that be? I would say maybe, you know, just to get started, maybe at a, not necessarily a comfortable, but like decent, I would say at least about 20, 25.
Right.
You know, if I had to come up with a number for somebody.
Okay. All right. That's respectable. That way, you know, you can
25 grand. You talking about 25 grand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. Just making sure.
Yeah, big money, man. Big money. Nah. So I mean, outside of the money and the finances, you guys talk a lot about the like different strategies and educating yourself. So it's a specific mindset you gotta have when going into this. I'm sure you guys would agree. Speak to that a little bit. What is the mindset people have to have in getting into this? And you know, you got to understand it could be a huge risk, it could be a huge reward, but if you know what you got going on, so talk about it.
Yeah. You want to go first, Marquez?
Yeah, I can go ahead and get it started. The mindset, I believe, is like the most important thing beyond, you know, any other piece. I think the biggest thing is just like I feel like when you're embarking on investing your money, you have to realize that like it's a game of time. You know, It's a game of numbers, but it's also like a game of time. So you're gonna have to be like really patient. You're gonna have to be willing to sacrifice a lot of different things, and you have to kind of basically weigh out what's important to you, you know, and figure out like really what's important to you, because you have to give up a lot of things in order to kind of like, you know, hit that goal, whatever that goal really may be for you. Figure out your why, and really start to become disciplined, you know, and diligent, and understand that like, you know, opportunities is just not about to wait around for no one. So kind of just wrapping your head all around that. I think it definitely comes with a bit of maturity as well. But you know, and just learn as much as you can. That way you kind of know what you're doing, you know, because sometimes you might be doing something, but you might not know like the gravity of it. So always self-educating yourself, and just, you know, placing yourself around people that will allow you to continue to, you know, elevate that mindset as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, absolutely. I definitely agree with you on the mindset. Is probably the hardest part of becoming successful and investing in yourself. It's starting to become the norm to be an entrepreneur, so that's the good thing. You know, seeing is believing. If I see more successful entrepreneurs, I'm going to feel more confident that I could be a successful entrepreneur. You know, it looks easier now that I've seen 10 people do it versus nobody do it. So for me, the mentality of I can do it, and understand that there's a risk associated to pretty much everything, you know. And once you understand the risk and then you make calculated decisions, I think you'll be good. But that comes with education. I feel like when you educate yourself, you're able to have a better mindset because you're confident in the decisions that you're making. It's versus you like, I don't really know and I'm not really confident, so I'm not going to make the decision. Being disciplined is probably by far the biggest, because discipline has helped me to save. Discipline has helped me to look for deals. Discipline has helped me to grow my business. You know, I could be making money and spending it just as fast, but I'm disciplined enough to understand that I know my vision for my future, and I know that in order for me to get to where I need to go in the future, I got to be disciplined right now.
Right.
So, and try to block out your fears, and try to block out, what's the word I'm looking for?
Distractions.
Distractions and negative stuff. once that negativity get a hold of you, it's kind of hard to get it off for you. So you got to be mindful of who you surround yourself by, what you're giving your attention to, what you're giving your energy to, the music, the food. Because once you become negative, it's only gonna hinder you, because now that negativity is causing doubt.
Yep, you're gonna start doubting yourself.
Yep. So those are my few key points about, man, having a mindset to be successful.
No, for sure. So it seems to me, man, it's a lot of good takeaways from this. Number one, I think we all in agreement that in terms of due to the impact of COVID-19, it's a lot of uncertainty in the market. We don't necessarily know which way it's going to go, if it's going to continue to be as strong as it's been in the previous 6 to 12 to 18 months, or if it could take to turn on the other side, right? So, and with that being said, it's, I think, important for people to understand now is the time to start educating yourself. Analyze what's going on in the places that you're interested in invested in. How long are properties being held? Are prices dropping? You know what I mean? Are people still making purchases? And outside of that, you got to develop an investment strategy. Do you want to go into rental units or leverage your debt? Do you want to try to do wholesale? Are you interested in doing a flip? Do you want to, like I said, leverage that or use your own money? You know, and once you have that strategy, you have to take a look at your finances in order to develop that strategy. And then your mindset got to be strong. Your mindset got to be strong and
absolutely
determine on what you're doing. Are there any other takeaways, anything else you think people need to take away from this? Any last words you guys have about the subject?
For me, my last takeaway would be, man, success leaves clues. Right. So follow the people that are successful. And I promise you, they're going to drop some gems on you. You're going to be able to pick up a lot of game and then get you a successful mentorship. Because to be honest, like, for me, mentorship is key. And I would tell anyone to.
That's huge. That's huge. I would definitely say mentorship as well. And, you know, make sure your faith is strong, because a lot of times it's going to throw you a lot of blows along the journey. And, you know, if your faith not strong, not to get too deep in it, but, you know, you're going to have to realize, like, yeah, you're going to only, you know, be able to lean on him.
Yeah. For sure, man. I appreciate you guys' time. I think this is going to be extremely useful for people to understand, especially in a time, like we said, so much uncertainty. People are trying to figure out how to position themselves and try to find an opportunity through it. So, you know, hopefully we can start leading people down that journey, man. I appreciate y'all.
All right, family. Peace.
Day two.
Yep. Take care.
Yeah.
All right.